Guys, it's Cooterz, and we're going to take a look at one of the new recipes, I believe, that was released for 3.2, and it has to do with Shaper and Elder items. But it's basically the same thing as the Chaos recipe, but instead you're going to be using Shaper items or Elder items, and I have a bunch of them right here set up. So, as you know, normally if I were to sell identified just rares that are eye level 60 or higher, obviously not as high as 75, as you'll get a Regal Orb. If I were to sell, one of each, basically one of each item, you would get one Chaos Orb in return. Now, if you do this Shaper recipe, or just all Shaper items, instead you get 2 Exalted Shards. So basically it's 1/10 of an Exalted Orb, which is interesting. If you don't identify the items, if they're all unidentified, then you end up getting 4 Exalted Shards, which I don't think is really worth it. I know there's a lot of debate on whether or not identified or unidentified Chaos or Chaos recipes is worth it or not. But I think with the Shaper items, it's almost never worth it, just because of the fact that you could get really lucky and stumble upon a really good mod on a Shaper item or Elder item. For sure, just like my weapons are something, if you accidentally sold this, I mean, this is worth, exponentially more than something like, say, an unidentified like pair of boots or something that could have sold for 10C. This could be something that can sell for like a few X or something like that, or a few Exalts. So, but I mean, it really depends on, I guess, whether or not the Shaper items you have are worth crafting on. I don't think a lot of them are if they're low item level. So that's something to keep in mind before people say like it's never worth doing these recipes. And just to give you an idea, if we look at the Exalted Orb ratio right now to Chaos Orbs, it's about 73-1 on Bestiary, and I don't know how much is in hardcore because I don't play hardcore this league. 30-1, which isn't really great. So in hardcore, it wouldn't really be worth doing this at all. But in softcore, interestingly enough, 1/10 of an Exalted Orb, it's basically like 7.3 Chaos. So that's a lot. That's quite a bit, honestly. Normally, like, you do the 1C Chaos recipe. That's one Chaos, or the 1 Chaos recipe. This one would be 2 Shards, or 1/10. So, interesting. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you guys have done this recipe at all. Obviously, it's a lot harder to farm because you need to farm Shaper maps or Shaper influence maps. But if you guys have done this recipe or been using this recipe, let me know, as I haven't been using it, but it's pretty tempting, especially as the Exalt prices are going up higher in League. It might be more and more worth it just because of the fact that the Exalted Shards are going to be worth more. As Chaos Orbs being the base price, they're always going to be worth 1 Chaos. They're going to be 1-to-1, whereas if Exalted Orbs, as they normally go up to about 90C to 100C when you're it's really the tip top of each league. Obviously, that's just an assumption. It's not always going to get there, but normally, what I've been seeing for the past 4 leagues or so, when you get to about maybe halfway through to kind of more the 3/4 stage of the league, you'll definitely see Exalted Orb prices kind of bump up there to like the 80-90 C, I guess, like value. But yeah, if it gets up there, I mean, this could be even worth it even more. Or if you want to hang on to like your Exalted Orbs or your Shards, it really depends what you're doing for. If you're crafting, slamming items, whatever, it depends on the person, on the player. And of course on hardcore, these items might be worth way more just because of the fact that there's less people playing it and less people running very high level maps and risking, their characters' lives to farm higher eye level or, base level Elder and Shaper items. So, Elder items, if it's the same thing, same amount of Exalted Shards. There's nothing special between the Elder and Shaper items, besides the fact that they just look really nice. I keep a bunch of mine because I hope sometimes, that maybe someone wants a base that I'm not too aware of. But I don't know. I think a lot of the Shaper items really aren't that great at low eye levels, especially the ones that are like sub, 75 or so, or 77. Really, you have to really look at like, the prefixes and suffixes that you can get with Elder mods and Shaper mods. or cheap mods, or what do you want to call them, because sometimes there's just nothing really there. You can't get the tier 1, or you can't get a certain range that just isn't really worth it. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, let me know if you've done the recipe, if you like the recipe, if you think it's not worth it, if you think it's worth it, stuff like that. Hit the notification bell up there when you want to know if I'm cannot talk. When I release a new video, you'll be notified. That's all it is. And of course, as Don said, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Obviously, like I said, with the comments down below, keep them civil, guys. And do remember to do big, do good, and do you. And I'll see you guys in the next video.